Hey everybody, this is Dr. William Clark here for Leadership Conversations. This is a show where we talk about leadership according to the world that matters to you. I wanted to spend a few moments with you talking about creating a perfect pitch, fundraising pitch for your ministry, church, or nonprofit. Now, I was reading this article by Jean Wang. It was written for Medium.com, and she talks about three things that matters to a successful pitch. And I wanted to quickly review those three things she shared and add a few additional elements to that. Number one, she says that what you need to answer the question, what does your organization do? You have to nail down your quick mission statement, what you are out to accomplish with your church, your nonprofit, your program. One of the things you need to be careful of is not having a super long mission statement that takes weeks to remember or memorize. It should be something that should roll off the tongue, that's memorable, that is impactful all at the same time, and it conveys exactly who you are, what you're about, and why. So, what does your organization do? Is the first question Jen brings up. The second question Gene, excuse me, brings up. The second question Gene talks about is, why is your organization important? A lot of us get into the business of launching a church, launching a program, a nonprofit, thinking that, oh, I don't see this happening in the marketplace. I don't see this happening or being provided for people. And I don't know if that's necessarily true in all cases. It's true in some cases, but you may not have a novel idea in terms of why you're launching, right? So then you have to think about, okay, why are you launching in the first place? Does it add value to the marketplace? Is it responsive to customer needs? Then, to Gene's point, you got to answer the question, why is your organization important? If there are competitors out there who are doing similar work, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say there probably are similar competitors doing similar work, then what makes your organization different? Now, everybody says, I want to do a youth serving program, and nobody's serving the youth, and nobody's plugged in. And when you really do a true and honest survey of existing organizations who do serve young people, you realize, wait, there are young people being served by organizations. There are organizations that have been around for years who are substantial and who have revenue sources that are quite large and have a sizable staff to meet the needs. Then the question is, if you still decide to get into that specific area with your nonprofit, then what's different? What's important about your organization? And I think this goes into Gene's third point. What's unique about you? Right? You can say it's important that youth need services, right? To get them off the streets, to keep them safe, to keep them engaged, to prepare them for a life of work, employment, and purpose. But then what's unique about what you do in comparison to the larger organizations or other mom and pop operations who are doing similar work? These questions are relevant to pastors as well, people who are leading churches and ministry. What's unique about your church? Because non-believers are looking at your church and saying, "Well, there goes another church coming up in the neighborhood. We have now what 20 in a 1 mile radius." Those are things that non-believers think. That's what they say. But you have to have a good reason to justify the existence of your particular ministry, so that you can convey to people you come across that, hey, this might be a fit for you. Now, in addition to these things that Gene writes, I want to add the following in terms of how to create a successful winning pitch. Not only do you want to know what your organization does, why is it important, and what makes it unique, you want to also figure out a way to communicate how funders, how investors, how supporters can get connected and stay connected, right? You want to make sure they have an inroad into your organization, whether it's volunteerism, whether it's donations, whether it's grants, whether it's investments, whether it's contracts, whether it's referrals or some other thing. How can people get plugged in? Not only do people want to know the critical details about what you do, but if they're so moved and if they're impacted by what you say, what you're doing, what's on your horizon or trajectory, they want to know what can they do right now. And I'm going to share one more tidbit with you in terms of creating and crafting a winning fundraising proposal or pitch. You want to make sure that you have a compelling story to either book in your presentation, to front load the presentation, to buffer the middle, or to cover the back. Meaning they need to tell a good story, either in the beginning and the end, or just the beginning, just the middle, or just the end. Figure it out, right? But that story is important to conveying the importance of what you do, why you do, how you do it, and who's benefited from what you do. The absence of a story doesn't materialize in the mind of people who don't know what you're doing, who had never seen you. It doesn't materialize for them. You need to make them believers. And ultimately, a story helps people become believers. It helps people connect mentally, emotionally to what you're doing. And perhaps that story, in some cases, for some people, may be a story very similar to a family member or loved one that has went through something very similar. And that connection point may just be the hook that makes someone want to connect with you and give resources to support what you're doing because they don't want to see anybody go through what their family member went through or their friend went through, etc. So close out with a story. I hope this was helpful. This is Dr. William Clark here. And if you found this helpful, or if you know somebody that could benefit from this, how about you share it with them? How about you tag them in this podcast post? Tag them on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. How about you share the podcast via your favorite podcasting platform and encourage them to engage, share a comment, and I'll be glad to engage with them there as well. This is Dr. Clark. Glad to be with you. We'll see you in the next show.